Anna thought she knew everything about her family. Her mother had died when Anna was just 10 years old. The only things left were a faint perfume scent, an old sweater, and a handful of faded photographs. But 20 years later, Anna stumbled upon a letter her mother had left behind, a letter marked, "To be opened after I'm gone." What she read inside shattered everything she believed about her life. Subscribe to see how this story unfolds. It could happen to anyone. Anna had always felt like she grew up without a past. Her mother died too young, and her father was a quiet man who never spoke much about their family. Their house, standing on the edge of a small town, seemed frozen in time, as if with her parents' deaths an entire chapter of life had been erased. On the day she returned to the old house after her father's funeral, she wasn't prepared for what she was about to find. The attic was thick with dust, stacked high with boxes that smelled of forgotten years. She opened them one by one, school notebooks, yellowed greeting cards, photo albums filled with stiff faces and half smiles. And then she found it, a small wooden box locked with a rusted clasp. The lock gave way easily, and inside was a bundle of letters tied with a faded ribbon. Most were simple notes. "Good morning. I love you." But one envelope stood out. It was pristine, almost untouched by time. On its surface, written in her mother's elegant handwriting, were the words, "Do not read until I'm gone." Anna froze. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her temples. A message left by her mother 20 years ago. And now, finally, it was time to open it. With trembling hands, Anna slid her finger under the fragile paper seal and pulled the letter out. The paper was thin, slightly yellowed, carrying the faint smell of lavender, her mother's favorite scent. For a moment, Anna felt as if her mother were standing right beside her. The handwriting was neat, steady, but every stroke seemed heavy with meaning. "My dearest Anna, if you are reading this, then I am no longer with you. There is something I never told you, something I prayed I would one day have the courage to explain face to face. But time ran out, so I leave it here, in these words. Before you were born, I had another child." Anna's breath caught. Her eyes darted across the page, disbelief burning in her chest. "A daughter. She was born when I was very young, at a time when I was scared and alone. I made the hardest decision of my life. I gave her away. I thought it was for the best. But not a day has passed that I didn't think of her. Please forgive me for not telling you sooner. I hope one day you will understand why I had to keep this secret." The letter ended with a single line, shaky and unfinished. "Her name is Maria." Anna's hands trembled as the letter slipped onto her lap. Her mind reeled. A sister? All this time, she wasn't an only child. Somewhere out there was a woman who shared her blood, her mother's face, her history. And her mother had taken this secret to the grave. The name echoed in Anna's mind like a ghost. Maria. She whispered it aloud, testing the sound, as though the word itself might summon her long-lost sister. Anna sat in the dim attic, surrounded by dust and silence, staring at the letter over and over. Her mother's words felt like both a confession and a plea. She could almost hear her mother's voice. "Please, find her." That night, Anna couldn't sleep. Questions tore through her mind. Who was Maria? Where had she gone? Why had her mother kept her hidden all these years? By morning, determination replaced the shock. She began digging through the boxes again, searching for any clue. A torn diary, old receipts, faded photographs. Buried deep under yellowed newspapers, she found one that froze her in place, her mother holding a baby she didn't recognize. Anna turned the photo over. In faint ink, nearly smudged with time, were the words, "For memory, 1992. Her hands shook. The year before Anna was born. Anna's next step was clear. She needed answers from someone who had been there. She drove across town to visit her mother's older sister, Aunt Clara, a stern woman who rarely smiled. At first, Clara denied everything. "You must have misunderstood your mother. She had a difficult life. Don't go digging up the past." But Anna refused to back down. She placed the photograph and letter on the table. Clara's eyes flickered, her facade cracking. After a long silence, she whispered, "Maria was real." The room spun. Anna leaned forward, desperate. "Where is she? Do you know what happened to her?" Clara shook her head slowly, tears welling. "Your mother. She swore me to silence. The baby was taken in by another family. After that, I never heard from them again. But I remember the name of the hospital. It wasn't much, but it was a start." Anna clutched the letter tighter. For the first time, she felt the truth wasn't just a dream. Her sister was out there, and Anna was going to find her. The hospital stood on the edge of town, its grey walls weathered by decades of storms. Anna walked through the automatic doors, clutching the letter in her purse like a talisman. Her stomach churned as she approached the reception desk. "I need access to records from 1992, she said, her voice trembling. "Maternity ward. My mother gave birth here." The receptionist gave her a polite but weary smile. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Those files are confidential. Only the birth mother or the child can request them." Anna's chest tightened. The birth mother is gone. The child doesn't even know she exists. She tried again, pleading. "Please, my mother is dead. I just found out she had another child, and I need to know what happened. This is all I have left of her." She slid the letter across the counter. The receptionist hesitated, eyes scanning the faded ink. For a moment, Anna thought she might cave. But then the woman's expression hardened. She slid the letter back. "I can't help you." The words slammed into Anna like a door shutting in her face. Frustrated, she left the hospital, pacing the parking lot under a grey sky. Every path forward seemed blocked. The bureaucracy, the secrecy. It was as if the past had been deliberately buried. But Anna wasn't the kind of person who gave up easily. That night, she scoured the internet, searching archives, forums, even adoption message boards. Her eyes burned from staring at the screen, but she pressed on. Days blurred into weeks. Each lead collapsed into nothing. Each call ended with the same answer. "Records are sealed." One evening, while flipping through her mother's old diary again, Anna noticed something she'd missed before. In the corner of a page, scribbled faintly, were 3 words, "Ask Nurse Evelyn." Her pulse quickened. A name, a clue, someone who had been there the day Maria was born. Finally, a crack in the wall of silence. Anna's fingers traced the faded ink. "Ask Nurse Evelyn." The name was like a thread dangling from a tightly woven knot. And Anna was ready to pull. She searched tirelessly, calling the hospital, digging through old directories, scrolling through social media. It felt impossible. Evelyn was a common name, and 30 years had passed. But then, in a local forum about retired medical staff, Anna found a post. "Does anyone remember Nurse Evelyn Carter? She worked maternity in the early 90s. Her heart leapt. She tracked down an address in a nearby suburb, a small town where time seemed to move slower. The next day, Anna stood outside a modest brick house with peeling paint and a garden overgrown with wildflowers. She hesitated, clutching the photo of her mother holding the baby. Then she rang the bell. An elderly woman answered, her back slightly hunched, but her eyes sharp and kind. "Yes." Anna swallowed hard. "Are you Evelyn Carter?" The woman nodded cautiously. "My name is Anna. You worked with my mother and Margaret Lane in 1992. Evelyn's face paled at the name. For a moment she looked like she might close the door, but something in Anna's trembling hands, the photograph, the desperation, made her pause. "Come inside," Evelyn said softly. The living room smelled of tea and old books. Evelyn sat opposite Anna, folding her hands tightly. "I remember your mother," she said after a long silence. "She was terrified when she came to the hospital, alone, young, but she loved that baby." Evelyn's voice cracked. "I was the one who placed Maria in her arms after she was born." Tears blurred Anna's vision. What happened to her? Where did she go? Evelyn hesitated, then reached for a worn notebook on the shelf. She flipped through pages until she stopped at a name and an address written decades ago. She was placed with a couple, the Harrisons. They couldn't have children. They took Maria home the very next day. Anna's breath caught. For the first time, Maria was more than a ghost. She had a name, a family, a place. The trail wasn't just a fading memory anymore. It was real. And Anna was closer than ever. The Harrison family. Anna repeated the name in her mind as she drove, the address Evelyn had given her scribbled on the back of an old receipt. Each mile brought a strange mix of excitement and dread. What if Maria didn't want to be found? What if she hated the truth? When Anna finally reached the neighborhood, she saw a row of quiet houses shaded by maple trees. The Harrison home was modest, its porch light still on, though it was midday. She parked at the curb, her hands trembling on the steering wheel. The door was answered by an older man, his hair white and thinning. "Yes?" he asked cautiously. "Mr. Harrison?" Anna's voice cracked. I think you might know my sister. Her name is Maria." For a moment, confusion clouded his face. Then it shifted into something harder, almost protective. "I think you should leave," he said firmly. Anna's heart sank. "Please," she begged. "My mother was Margaret Lane. She wrote me a letter before she died. She told me the truth. I just want to know my sister is okay." The man's jaw tightened, but then a woman's voice floated from behind him. "Who is it, James?" An elderly woman appeared, her eyes soft but wary. "She looks just like Margaret," she whispered, her hand trembling at her lips. Anna's breath caught. They knew her mother. Mrs. Harrison stepped forward, her voice gentler than her husband's. "Maria is alive. She's doing well. But she doesn't know about you. We never told her she was adopted." The words struck Anna like a hammer. Her sister had lived her whole life unaware of the truth. "Where is she?" Anna whispered. The Harrisons exchanged a look. Fear, hesitation, love. Finally, Mrs. Harrison said quietly, "She lives in the city now. She's a teacher. But if you're going to see her, you need to be prepared. She may not want this." Anna nodded, tears streaming down her face. She didn't care how difficult it would be. She had come too far to turn back. She finally had a chance to meet her sister. 2 weeks passed before Anna found the courage to act. She had Maria's address now, a small apartment complex in the heart of the city. But every time she rehearsed what to say, her throat tightened. What if she slams the door in my face? What if she hates me for showing up? On a chilly Saturday morning, Anna finally went. She stood outside the brick building, clutching the photograph of her mother with the baby. Her palms were damp, her chest tight. With shaking hands, she rang the buzzer. A voice answered through the intercom. "Hello?" Anna's breath caught. The voice was warm, Younger than she expected, but hauntingly familiar. It was like hearing an echo of her mother. "Hi, my name is Anna," she stammered. This might sound strange, but I think I'm your sister." Silence, a long, terrifying silence. Then the door clicked open. Maria stood in the hallway, a woman in her early 30s with kind eyes and hair pulled back in a loose bun. She looked startled, wary, but when her gaze landed on the photograph in Anna's hands, something flickered. "Where did you get that?" Maria asked, her voice trembling. "It was my mother's, our mother's." Maria's eyes widened. She staggered back a step, covering her mouth. "No, my parents told me—" She stopped, shaking her head. "They said I was theirs." Anna's voice broke. "They loved you, I know they did. But our mother, she never forgot you. She left me a letter asking me to find you." She held out the photo with trembling hands. "I think she wanted us to have each other." Tears welled in Maria's eyes as she took the photo, staring at it like it was a piece of her soul she never knew was missing. The two women stood in silence, the weight of decades between them pressing heavy. Finally, Maria whispered, "All my life I felt like something was missing. I thought it was just me. But it was you." Anna stepped forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to lose you again." And then, for the first time in their lives, the sisters embraced, strangers bound by blood, grief, and a mother's last wish. The hug lingered, fragile at first, then stronger, as though both women were afraid to let go. Decades of separation seemed to collapse in that single moment. Maria's tears soaked into Anna's shoulder, and Anna realized she was crying just as hard. They spent the afternoon together in Maria's small apartment, the photo of their mother resting between them on the table. Anna shared the letter, letting Maria trace the faded words with her fingertips. At times, Maria sobbed uncontrollably. At times, she simply sat in silence, staring into space as the truth reshaped everything she thought she knew about her life.
"I feel angry," Maria admitted softly. "Like my whole life was a lie, but at the same time, I feel grateful. I was loved. I had a family, and now—" She glanced at Anna, eyes shining. "I have you?" Anna squeezed her hand. "That's all I wanted, for us to find each other." In the weeks that followed, they spoke daily. They exchanged stories of childhoods that had unfolded in parallel, worlds apart. They visited their mother's grave together, leaving flowers and the old photograph, finally united, as she must have hoped they would be. And though there were still wounds to heal, secrets to untangle, and years lost that could never be regained, Anna and Maria understood one thing with absolute clarity. The truth cannot be buried forever. Sometimes it takes decades, sometimes it takes courage, but in the end, truth finds its way home. Family isn't defined by the secrets that separate us, but by the love that survives in spite of them.